Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Today we are back on with Peter's B175 engine rebuild, and we're going to have a look at the top end, the piston, the barrel, and also the snazzy new electronic ignition system. We're going to get the engine side of that installed and have a look and see how we get on with that. So we're really cracking on with this engine now, and it shouldn't be too long before we think about getting it started. This will be the first time it's fired in almost 50 years, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll have to fit it into a bike or perhaps fabricate up a stand that's capable of supporting a running engine, but we'll figure something out, and in the not too distant, hopefully, we'll hear it go for the first time in a long time. So yeah, that's something to look forward to, but hopefully you'll enjoy what I've got for you in this video. It's certainly enjoyable making the video and working on the engine. So what else has been happening? Well, I have been out and about, and I met up with Mr. Tweed, and I've mentioned Mr. Tweed before. His YouTube channel is called Tweed's Garage, and he does all things vintage cars, vintage motorbikes, and he doesn't live too far away from me, so we met up for a cup of tea and some cake, and what a smashing guy. So Mr. Tweed, it was great to meet you, and he bought another bike, and on his way back he popped in here. So we didn't do anything on the camera, but perhaps in the future we'll collaborate and do something together. But yeah, great to meet him and great to find out a little bit more about what goes on at Tweed's Garage. In other news, thank you everyone that has sent messages of well wishes to my son, who's not been too well of late. He's much better, I'm pleased to report. Definitely feeling much better in himself. We don't have much in the way of news on what's going on with him. Still more questions than answers. But they've taken him off some of the medication that he was on, and that seems to have improved his condition. But we're still waiting out for to find out exactly how we can get him back to 100% health. But those of you who've contacted me and sent me well wishes, thank you very much indeed. And of course, those of you who know us as a family quite well and have leaned in with your support, thank you. It really does mean a lot. So yeah, it's hugely appreciated. Right, let's get on, do some work on the BSA. Okay, we are over at the bench, and we've got Peter's B175 barrel, newly rebored, sitting in front of us, and we've got the piston, and we've got the piston rings. We're going to do the ring gaps, measure the ring gaps. So get the piston rings out. Got the BSA manual here with some nice approved data, and we're looking for a gap of between 9 and 13 thousandths. So we'll put the rings into the barrel one by one, and we will measure the gap with feeler gauges. And this being a freshly rebored barrel, it matters not where we put our ring. It could be top, it could be bottom. Really makes no odds. But if you're fitting new rings to a part 1 barrel, then you need to make sure that you get on the running surface and avoid the unworn portion at the top end of the barrel or at the very bottom of the barrel, because that will give you a false reading. You'll effectively be reading a new barrel and not your level of wear. So yeah, that's one to watch out for. So we want 9 to 13 thou. You notice I just squared it up there with the piston. I just used the top ring land as a kind of a datum, and it just helps you to get the piston ring nice and square so that the gap is accurately where it would sit on the piston. So we've got a selection of feeler gauges. I've got an 8, I've got a 10, I've got a 12, I've got a 15, and I've got some increments as well. I've got a 2 and I've got a 1.5. So that looks about 10 thou to me, but it's been a while since my eyeballs were calibrated, so we'll measure it just to be sure. You never know, Could be definitely not under, so that's good. That eighth thou falls in there, but yeah, let's just hope it's not over. Because if it is, that's our reboard job out the window. Let's try a 10. Oh, 10 goes in. No drag on that really. So wasn't 10 after all. Let's try the 12. Oh yeah, that goes in. That goes in nicely actually. That's just about the right amount of drag, so I'm going to say that's 12 thou. Well, that's good. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. We're not outside of the tolerances, at least with that one. 13 being the upper limit. So let's try the second ring. That looks about right. So I'm going to go straight in with the 12 thou, because that's what the last one was. Hopefully, manufacturing tolerances are good. It should be exactly the same. Looks a little bit. Have I got that in square? Yes, I have. That's tighter. It will go in. Yeah, there's a bit more drag on that one. I'd say that one was maybe 11.5, 11 3/4. It's moved the ring. It's actually moved it. So a little bit tighter, but within tolerance. So that is an absolute win. If it's, 1/4 of a thou out, then I think we can forgive them that. So we'll put those away. And so that's the ring gaps done. So there's one more check to do, and that's when we've got the rings fitted to the piston, and we need to check the ring gap. Sorry, the ring land clearance. So when the piston ring is fitted in the land, we'll just need to go in with a feeler gauge and just check clearance between the ring and either the upper or lower ring land on each one respectively, because we need, what does the book say, 12 thousandths. We need a gap of 12 thousandths. If we've got no gap at all, or too tight a gap, we can end up with the ring sticking, and then you lose the seal, you create a gas path, which would be no good. Volumetric efficiency, down the Swanee, or up the Swanee, which way you want to go. Or if they are too slack, then we could end up with ring flutter, potentially a broken ring, and again, potentially create a gas path. So it has to be right, so we'll check that when we've got the rings on, and then we'll be able to do our top end rebuild. That will lead to exciting things like fitting the ignition and timing the engine, because we'll be able to put the piston at top dead, or the relevant amount of millimeters or fractions of an inch below top dead, depending on what the ignition kit wants us to do. So that's good news. We can get that together, and that moves us on quite a good bit. So we'll get the rings assembled for the piston, do the gap check, and then move on from there. That'll be the next job. So today's been a very interesting day. It's been very warm here in the south of England. It's been, well, maybe not compared to some parts of the world where you may be right now. It's been about 32 degrees, perhaps 33, which is the warmest day of the year so far. So nice to get a bit of good weather, but yeah, it's warm for us here in the UK. It's 25 degrees here in the workshop now. That's Celsius. It's about 10 o'clock at night. So, yeah, it's been a warm one. But I was very lucky today because I got to meet Mr. Tweed. And if you watched my last video, you may recall that I gave a shout out to Mr. Tweed from Tweed's Garage, the YouTube channel. And today I was lucky enough to meet him, and we met up for a cup of tea and a slice of apple pie, which was very nice, and spent a couple of hours chatting. And to the casual observer, we were two old fogies sitting in a garden centre, but we were not discussing delphiniums. No, we were discussing Rileys and BSAs and lathes and milling machines and all that kind of good stuff. So it was fantastic to meet Mr. Tweed, and he's a thoroughly nice chap. I can tell you that. And if you haven't seen his channel, Tweed's Garage, I do recommend you go over there and have a look, because he's very knowledgeable, but his presentation style is fantastic, very entertaining, and yeah, what a nice guy. So thanks, Tweedy. It was great to meet you, and hopefully we can get together for some more tea in the near future. But until then, it was great to meet you. So let's move on and have a look at getting this piston. Right, progress. Piston fitted and piston rings. And I've done the ring clearance, nowhere near 12 thousandths. So we'll take that as a maximum. And feels very nice. Plenty of clearance and fits snugly around our locating pegs. New piston kit, so new circlips and new gudgeon pin. It all feels very nice indeed, and I like the look of it. I do. I've done a bit of quick rough and ready maths, and we've got a bit of capacity increase with our slightly larger piston at 62.1. The original 61.5. The stroke remains constant at 58 millimeters. So we've gone from 172.29 cubic centimeters to 175.67 cubic centimeters. So it's truly a 175 now. So Peter, hold on tight. She's going to be a white knuckle ride. Anyway, yeah. So that's all together. We've got our studs in. Just a little bit of grease on the studs. I don't use Never Seas. Because I've never had a problem just using grease. If you're going to use something like Never Seas or a sort of anodic type product, just make sure it's compatible with aluminium, because sometimes the aluminium is anodic to the product, and you end up eating away at your casings. You don't want that, so I've just used a little bit of just ordinary grease. And to be fair to these things, they came out fairly easily from the Pond Life cases that were originally fitted to the engine. So, if they survived that and came out okay, they should be all right under normal circumstances. So we're going to get the barrel fitted. I'll fit the base gasket. Don't forget to fit your dowel on these later models. You probably can't see it. Leave the piston out of the way. Don't know if you can just see it. Just behind here, there's a locating dowel for the cylinder barrel. So the earlier models didn't have it. The D7 doesn't have it. The D10 has it. I think it's D10 onwards. So yeah, don't forget that. Otherwise, you might end up breaking your base gasket, taking the barrel back off to put it back in, and then you end up having to get out of the gasket, and it sets you back. So one to remember. Just going to use grease on the gasket. I'm not going to use any well seal or anything like that. Don't want to stick it down. And I've been doing that for, long enough, and not had one. Well, unless I've torn it through clumsiness, I've not had a problem with it. So I'm going to get the barrel fitted. I'm going to do that off camera. Just get it done, and I'll bring you back. You've seen me wrestle with piston rings on previous videos. So 2-ring piston, so we shouldn't have any issues. And once the barrel's fitted, we can start thinking about timing and magic sparks. And I've got the sprocket fitted here as well. As you can see, I haven't tightened the nut up yet, but we'll do that towards the end. Put a chain around it, tighten it up, and do the tab washer. So I'll bring you back once it's looking a bit more engine-like. Well, that went on without a hitch, despite my hands not wanting to play, the old halves and carpal tunnel and all the rest of it playing up a bit today. So not a great deal of feeling in my left hand, not a great deal of grip strength, but thankfully it played along. So we've now got the barrel fitted, and I have to say it feels really, really nice. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. So that is good news. My hands, and I don't know if you can see that camera angle, but I've got a turned washer here that I made specifically for this task, clamping barrels down, and a nut just holding it just so the piston doesn't lift the barrel when we're trying to time things up. And I was going to put the head on and use my micrometer timing tool, because this is a center plug cylinder head, so it would work in theory. Basically, you use this rod here to monitor where the piston is. I'll just undo the little grub screw. Yeah, so you use this rod to monitor where the piston is, and you get it set to top dead center, and then you lock off the rod with the screw, and then you move the piston out of the way, and then however many millimeters before top dead, you wind it on, and then you bring your piston back in, and you're in your timing position. But unfortunately, the rod isn't long enough. It doesn't. It's not long enough to reach down the hemisphere on the Bantam head. So I could make a longer rod for it quite easily, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to use good old-fashioned dial gauge, and you can see I've got my magnetic stand up there, and I've got my trusty Batty thousandths dial gauge. So we'll get that on the piston. We'll set the piston to the correct position, and then we'll do the timing once we've got the ignition system sorted out, obviously. So I think that will be our next thing. We'll get the magic box of sparks out again, and we'll start unboxing it and have a look and see exactly what we're playing with. And I've never done this particular system before, so we will have, let's move this engine out of the way. We will have a bit of a read of the approved data that comes with it, and we'll figure it out and see about getting the ignition system installed. So bear with me, I will go and get some bits and pieces together. And right, here is our magic box of sparks, at least Peter's magic box of sparks. It's Peter's engine and it's Peter's kit. So let's have a look, see what we've got. And I imagine that you've already figured out where it came from. Get rid of that. Can you see all right? You can. So that is the system that it's gone for. Electrex World, and they are a local company, local to me, in the same county. In fact, about 10 miles away from where I live. So there you go. But having said that, I've never actually fitted one of their kits. I'm going to put some, one second, I'm going to put something down on the bench, because sensitive electronicies, just to keep everything nice and clean. So what we'll do is we'll put a copy of old Bike Mart down, as good a material as any. There's the approved data. We'll hang on to that, because I'll be switching you off and having a read in a minute. Let's have a look and see what we've got. A plug cap, which is a good start, because we need one of those, otherwise we won't get anything. Won't get any sparks. What have we got here? this, I believe, CD682 two-stroke. So that will be the CDI unit. So we have a CDI unit. We have a kill switch or stop switch, which is terminated with a bullet and a ring terminal. That looks like an earth bonding lead. Black wire connects between HT coil and engine. Yep, so that is an earth bonding lead for the coil. I imagine if we're going to connect that to the engine, the rear engine mount is probably the best place to do that, I would think, to keep it out of the way and make it unobtrusive. Just depends on where the coil goes, because I don't know. On the bone system that I'm used to, it goes under the tank on a everything's mounted on a chassis plate, a purpose-made chassis plate, and fits neatly under the tank. But I don't know where the coil goes on one of these systems, so we'll figure it out, won't we? It's kind of immaterial at the moment because we haven't got a bike. That's over at Peter's, and we don't have it here. Regulator rectifier, lead acid battery, all types. Must not be used with a lithium ion battery. There we go. These are highly variable in quality and can catch on fire. Well, yeah, we don't want that. There's our reg rec. Another label on there. It says cut blue wire for 12 volt use, leave intact for 6 volt use. Alright, okay, so it's a dual system, and we'll have to find out what Peter intends to use on his bike. Well, I won't be touching this for a while. This won't get touched until we actually, or he perhaps, installs the system on his bike. But if you'd like me to help, more than happy to. What we got here? Ignition coil. Okay. I'll be seeing all this. I'll be talking an absolute load of waffle if you're not seeing. No, you are seeing. Good. That I would say is probably the ignition coil bracket. Yeah, it looks about right. So I guess you have a choice of where you put it. I guess it depends how long the HT lead is, really, as to how much option you've got. Fairly long, so I suppose you could stash it behind one of the side panels and bring the HT lead along the spine of the bike if you wanted to. Fitting kit. So we've got three turned collars, which I would say take the place of the collars, the BSA collars here. I don't know if you can see. Let me move the camera. You can't, so I'm saying here, but you don't know what I'm talking about. Move it up to the engine. So we've got three studs here that the ignition stator mounts on. So educated guess that the three turn collars locate the stator in lieu of the ones that BSA provided for the wipeback system. And then we've got, I won't take it out of the bag, but there is a split collar. Yeah, split collar, looks like it's tapered. It is tapered. So that will be for mounting the stator because it's a parallel shaft. So I imagine that we have a parallel internal diameter, tapered external diameter, and then as we pull the rotor, rather, not the stator, as we pull the rotor onto the taper, it will close up the split collar and give us a friction drive. So that explains that bit. Right, so now we're going to get down to the money shot. have something wrapped in styrofoam, which don't need to craft knife. I imagine will be, yes, can't be anything other than, can it? Really, it's our stator and our rotor. So, so we've got a cable wrapped in, so initial part of the cable is wrapped in sister flex. We've got a grommet, and then we've got a piece of PVC sleeving terminating in a plug. Are we seeing this? Let's just double check. Yeah, terminating in a plug. And we've got two yellow cables with bullets, female bullets, which I would think, judging by the colour of the cables on the rectifier, are our AC bolts. So, I'll bring you in a little bit to have a look at the proper gubs, as Cliff at Cliff Shed would say. Move all these boxes out of the way. There's our rotor with a permanent magnet, and yet it's tapered on the inside diameter. We have some degree graduations on there. Electrics engraved on the front, and then here is the business end, if you like, the ignition and lighting and charging coils, no doubt. Reasonably lightweight. Yeah, there you go. Like I say, my first time seeing one of these systems, so just as new to me as it is to you. So that's the kit. That's what we're going to be fitting, and all looks, all looks very good, and no doubt straightforward to install. So I'm going to have a bit of a read of the approved data that came with it, and I'll come back to you once Right, I've had a bit of a read, and things have moved on slightly. I've got you on a little tripod here on the bench, so I'm just going to move you slightly. There we go. We've got the stator casing fitted now, which means that I've tightened up the sprocket and staked over the tab washer, because you can't get to that. Well, you probably could if you were somewhat dexterous, but I'm not going to try it. And then we've cleaned up the clutch lifting mechanism and given it a good lubrication with some grease, cleaned out the grease nipple, and just secured the case with the one screw back here. So we are ready to progress. And when I was reading the data that comes with the ignition kit, basically it takes it from a standpoint that you've got a running bike and you're doing a conversion. So it sort of starts with taking all the old stuff off and then getting to the stage that we're at now and then loading up the new stuff. So we are kind of taking it from, let's have a look which step we're at. Fitting instructions, we are at step 4, which is fit new stator in position. Because we've removed the engine cover, removed the old alternator stator, removed the rotor, and yeah, we're at step 4. So that's where we are. So that's where we will go forward from. So the new stator, here it is. Here it is. And here's a wiring harness coming out of it. And I think I'm just going to have a little bit of a fiddle to try and get that sheathing through the grommet rather than just have bare wires. Right, got you on the handheld. We're looking at the stator, and there is the grommet I was talking about. And I was quite wrong. You can't you can't push the sheathing through the grommet. It's moulded to only take the wires, the insulation covered wires. So that's how it's meant to be. So we won't mess with that anymore. That's how it's designed. And while we're here, we'll just have a quick look at the stator. Looks nicely made. So I'm guessing this is the ignition coil and pickup, and these are the lighting and charging coils here. There's a mark here. There's a little center pot mark there with a little bit of blue. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a little bit of blue paint on it. I think I've worn the blue paint off by handling it, but when I read through the text in the data, that is the timing mark. So we need to know where that is, and yeah, that's not going anywhere. It's a deep enough center pot that we shouldn't lose sight of that. So right, you can see I've got a cup of tea on the go. It's actually day 2. I had to adjourn yesterday. I had other things to do, but it's a much nicer day today. Nice and sunny. Yesterday was chucking down with rain. That's par for the course, isn't it? Right. So let's get this fitted and go from there. So you're following along with me. My first time fitting an electric system, so we'll go through it together. So step 4 is fit new stator in position, then fit the 3 spacers supplied onto the studs, followed by washers and the original nuts. The stator should be located in approximately the middle of the slots. Don't fully tighten yet. And there is an image that tells you how to orient it. So all fairly straightforward. So the coil that we've identified as the ignition unit coil is approximately 11 o'clock. And we just need to be just cognizant of where this cable is going, I think. Yeah, it just tucks nicely into the back there. I've got it trapped. There we go. Right. There we go. That's all the way in. Yeah, and then the 3 spacers, which come with the kit. And then 3 washers that don't come with the kit. These are the original parts. And 3 nuts. Got the 2 slim nuts. And the third one, which is the double depth or triple depth even, goes here. Forms part of the casing mounting. So right, so before we knit those up, let's make sure we're roughly in the center of the slots, which is about there, and just pinch them up by hand. Okay, and the cable, there we go, comes out here, push this into the casing, make sure I don't dip it in my tea. I don't think they work very well when they're soaked in tea, but there you go. Not like me, I work really well when I'm soaked in tea. Anyway, right, so that's that bit done. And we're looking on the camera. If I can get you a slightly better view. Okay, good. Quick mouthful of the tea. Very good, very good. And step 5, which says, locate the taper locking collet on the crankshaft as far as possible and then fit the new rotor. Locate the nut onto the crankshaft, but do not fully tighten yet. We recommend you use Loctite on the nut, but not the taper collet or rotor taper. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because if we glue the rotor onto the shaft, That would not be a very wise thing to do. So let's get this thing on, which goes on very nicely. Nice fit. And then just moving on a bit on the instructions before we tighten anything up. Easy setting of the timing. Set the piston at TDC, not full advance. Right, okay. And with the rotor free to rotate, move it so the 19-degree mark, highlighted in blue, engraved on the rotor, aligns with the punched mark highlighted in blue on the stator. In this position, push the rotor onto its taper so it locks onto the shaft and tighten the nut to 20 foot-pounds. Well, that's all easy enough. And the reason why I left the clutch cover off is so that we can lock the crankshaft with a spanner when we come to tighten this up. So just look on there, you can see some degree marks, and you can just about see one that's darker than the others. That's the 19-degree one. So what I might do is just put a bit of marker pen on that so that I can see it a bit easier. My eyesight not being the greatest in the world. Let's have a go at that with a marker pen. There. There you go. A bit easier to see, I think. And one of those guess how I know this moments, when you're handling rotors like this with a permanent magnet, don't put them down, face down on your bench, because they will find every little tiny sliver of metal and filing that, you know, no matter how scrupulously clean you are with your workbench, they will find it. So I always usually tend to put them facing upwards on a piece of clean paper or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to go and see if I can find the nut, because I can't remember where I put it. Right, found. I'm just checking that it threads on nicely, which it does. And we've got the spring washer as well. Okay, with the original. So I think what we'll do now is get the engine to top dead center, and then we're ready to go. So let me move you and we'll crack on. Right, okay, watching the dial gauge, so I'm going to go up to top dead center in one direction, find the high point, which is there. Double check we've got the highest point. Yep. Okay. I'll take the backlash out and go the other way. See if we can do any better. Right, okay. Top dead center. Achieved. So as long as we don't knock it or move it, we're in the right place. So we'll go back. Okay, so we'll fit the rotor. Let's see if we can get this this timing mark to line up with the mark on the rotor. So about looking sort of lengthwise, a little bit of parallax, about there. I'm just going to give it a wee tap just to see if I can seat the taper. Okay. That's lined up. Okay, that's about as good as I can get it. I'll probably get a mirror out in a minute and just get in there with the mirror, just make sure that we are lined up. So now we just need to tighten that up to 20 foot-pounds. So I'll get some bits and pieces together, and essentially that will be the ignition installed on the engine. The rest of it, all the rest of the bits and pieces that come with the kit, the CDI unit, etc., we need a bike for, which we don't have. So this will be as far as we can go at the moment. But yeah, commendably easy. So far, so good. Let me just put these bits and pieces back in the box and grab some tooling. Let's tighten that thing. Right, I nearly messed up there. So just before we torque it up, I've removed the spring washer because it doesn't tell you to fit it, and there's not an awful lot of thread there. So take that out. It's not in the diagram to fit the spring washer, but it does mention Loctite, doesn't it? And I nearly forgot that. So we'll put a bit of 270 on. And we'll put the nut on without the spring washer. So there you go. Close call. Okay, and I've got the torque wrench set to around the right way. 20 foot-pounds. We've got a 15/16 AF spanner on the drive side to stop the crank from turning, and a 15/16 AF socket on the torque wrench. And if we if we have the torque wrench go in the right direction, I think it might work a bit easier. Right, that's a bit better, isn't it? So here we go. Talkie. Okay, well, that didn't seem very tight, but that's what it tells you to do, so that's what we'll do. Okay. That essentially is the ignition fitted. So we'll just double check the timing. I won't twizzle the engine around, we'll do it here. And I just need to make sure that we're back at top dead center. Double check those timing marks. Okay, let's have a look. I don't think the mirror on the stick is going to help because of the angle. No, maybe if it was a smaller one like a dentist's mirror. Just grab a light. I think that just needs a tiny little tweak. Yeah, I'd say that's about bob on. So there we go, timing done. We'll nip those up. And that's it done. So it looks nice, looks very nice. Happy with that. And when you see what it replaces, let me just grab the old kit. So there's the old stator, which is probably in reasonable condition before it was laid up, but now is completely rusty. It weighs a bit as well. And then the old rotor, which again is quite a weighty piece of kit. So, yay, modern CDI ignition systems. But we knew that already, didn't we? Because we fitted the bone system on my bike. But yeah, very neat, and I think that will do Peter very well indeed. And I don't think I'll have any problems with that. So we could start buttoning a few more things up on this engine now. We're definitely getting somewhere. We're getting very close to having to decide about how we're going to run it. So, right, let's do it. So I don't think we're going to do too much more. The video length is getting about there, but we'll get the clutch lifter mechanism put in, and we'll put the cover on, and that just kind of boxes it. Excuse me, boxes up this this little part of the project. So I've nipped up the timing nuts, so they're all. I've double checked the timing again, nipped those up, and it looks pretty much spot on. I have to say, doing this has kind of reminded me quite a bit of my granddad, because one of the last sort of motorcycle memories I have of him is messing about with his Bantam, and that was, I would say, the mid-1970s, and he was having electrical problems with it, and if this kind of kit had been available then, obviously, you know, we wouldn't have had those problems, because that thing was probably less than 20 years old, and you know, he couldn't get any output from the alternator, and you know, I think probably spares had started to dry up by then, because BSA had gone under, and I imagine there wasn't much really that he could do. So let's put this clutch push rod through, and put a little ball bearing in, and then the adjuster screw. But yeah, it does make me wonder. Wish I could go back in time, because you know, I could fix it for him, couldn't I? So we'll just back that off a little bit. Obviously, we'll have to adjust it a little bit more when we get it connected to a handlebar. But just so that everything's in there, we know it's all in there. Right. Feels alright. Let's get the cover fitted. Yes, I often have these ponderings. I wonder about all the things I can do now. And obviously, still learning. We're all still learning, aren't we? But I can do a lot more now than I used to be able to do. And he's not around to see it. So that's a bit of a lament for me, really. I mean, I'm sure he can see it, but he's not here to talk to me about it. There we go. We've always got the memories, haven't we? Right. Look at that. I'm going to move you back in a minute so we can have a proper look. Even the little rubber that had been sat out in the elements for so long, cleaned up, and was in pretty good shape, to be honest with you, once I cleaned all the muck off of it. Right. So that's where we are so far. We've got the top end pretty much wrapped up, and we've got the ignition fitted and the ignition cover fitted, and we've just got to fit the clutch cover and stick the cylinder head on, and that's it, pretty much buttoned up, isn't it, really? So I think we'll leave it here for this one. Let me just see if I can get you a bit more of a panoramic view to finish off on. There we go. As ever, thank you very much indeed for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do leave a comment and hit the like button if you like what we've been doing. And to all of you that have subscribed to my channel, thank you very much indeed. That's people that have been with me for quite some time, and all you new guys that have come along, thanks for signing up. It is appreciated. And if you're one of the 50 or 60% that watch the videos but haven't yet subscribed, please do consider hitting the subscribe, ringing the bell, and every time I make a video, it will be magically whizzed to your device. So that's where we'll leave it. Mind how you go, and I'll see you soon.